Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to be back with you after a very, very intensive election. Before I go any further, I want to say that I'm very grateful, I'm thankful to those persons who voted for me, and of course, the people have spoken. We're going to open up our show immediately so that you can call and make your own announcements or your texts, and we're going to give you this evening for you to make your image felt among your people. So, Courtney, you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yes, good evening.
And we go from there.
Our viewing audience out there, first I'd like to remind everyone about the show that is brought to you by Digicel, and the fact that any text or any calls to the show from a Digicel phone are actually absolutely free during the show. Now, I'd also like to encourage you to ask your cousin or your friend or your relative that's away that on the web, www.jtvlive.net, you can reach the show as well. Edmund, on the World Wide Web, we could even someone in Timbuktu could tune in tonight while we're on the show and
see us
live.
Going on.
Okay, so. And also, before we get into any other thing, Edmund, I had a text last time, and because the show was so dynamic, I didn't get a chance to talk about it. But the BVI swim team, such a lovely people. They got gold, silver, and bronze when they went away in St. Lucia the other day.
That's very good.
And that is very good. And as I called the name St. Lucia, I think on the accident that happened there where 17 people got killed, and we have to be really...
Oh my goodness.
We have to be really, send out our condolences to our sister country.
That's right.
Right here in the Caribbean, and tell them how we're so, sorry for what has happened, and, wish them all the best. But yeah, Edmund, I think we're going to open up the show tonight, and
yes,
people are going to call in and they'll voice their opinion, of the way they feel about how things have gone so far.
Right.
So I think we'll do that. We'll put those numbers up there, and we'll allow our viewers to call us and start the dialogue going.
Right. So we want to get going immediately. And we want to have full participation of our audience here tonight. But Courtney, there was one thing that I observed. The Chamber of Commerce had 2 debates.
Yes.
And none of them included the independent candidates.
Yeah, that must have been
It was deliberately done.
You think it was
because I spoke to them and they did nothing. Again, I noticed that the radios were not interviewing the independent candidates, but they were interviewing all the parties.
All the parties, yeah.
And to me, that's a great injustice of the press.
Yeah.
So, nonetheless, I wanted to mention that point.
Yeah.
You got a text or two?
Well, we have
got
a call.
Let's have it here.
Yeah, good evening. You speak your mind. Please turn your television set down and let's go ahead.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Maduro, how are you?
Staying alive still.
Well, you get 119. What do you think about that?
Well, it's the people. The people have spoken.
So the new government that coming, you have anything to say special about the government?
As I was just saying before you made the call, I think we were unjustly exposed by the press, because the Chamber of Commerce, imagine that the Chamber of Commerce had 2 debates on television, and they said nothing about the independent candidates. I listened.
They're wrong.
I listened to the radios, and they didn't interview a single independent candidate either. It might have been done, but for the time I listened, I heard no such things. And I know that the press should be impartial and fair. And that was not impartial, and that was not fair. They even had people who said they had parties on that thing, the Chamber of Commerce, who were a one-man party. So all of those things go to show the inequity of an organization called the Chamber of Commerce, which should be representing everybody in the British Virgin Islands, all the businesses, all the persons who were in the campaign. And I spoke to them, and they did nothing about it.
Mr. Maduro, anyway, I gotta go, but I run again.
Yeah?
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your call.
All right, good night.
Good night. Yes, Courtney, I think that was unfair exposure by the press and the media.
But before we forget, though, you got a good comment there at the end. She said must run again.
We'll see how it all adds up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't.
We have a text, but it just called my name, so I don't know.
So maybe somebody tried to make one, but they didn't.
They didn't finish it. Go ahead, and the text is working. Go ahead and you can text, or you can
call.
Or you can call. Okay, another one. The text that says people were bought by the parties.
I believe that. I believe that. The parties expended a tremendous lot of money on the media.
So good night. I want to congratulate NDP. I'm so glad that Dr. Smith wise up and hold on to the Ministry of Finance. I think NDP will lift this island up.
Well, I must say that I think the people have spoken, and I believe that the government of the day will do a better job, a fair job, and I'm looking forward to that. And we, I think, at this very present time and in the foreseeable future, must be prepared to work together with the government than simply just getting out and, blasting for the sake of blasting.
We have another text that says independent candidates don't work. Party system is the only way.
That is not true. That is ignorance. It is absolutely not true. And it lacks a lot of wisdom. Such people lack a lot of wisdom when they make statements like that.
I think we might discuss it just a little bit to show that there were people in the party, in the previous government, 4 of them that did absolutely nothing.
Right.
And that was in a party. They were not independent. They were in a party.
Exactly.
They were being paid a salary for 4 years, and they did absolutely nothing.
In addition, for some period of time, getting $2,000 a month to live in their own house.
So that's not a valid statement to say that independent candidates.
No, you see, the person who says that does not even understand the system of government that they have.
The only party that was buying votes is the one that got knocked out.
Those are serious statements.
Yeah, but buying votes, it could be done in a number of ways. If you have big billboards and you pay, you run real big ads that other people can't afford. You run a campaign into the millions of dollars. That's a way of buying votes.
Well, Courtney, it is also a way of, in fact, telling the people what makes them feel good, rather than telling the people what is important to their future existence. And to me, the election, as far as the parties may have been concerned in certain areas, were whimsical. Simple as that.
Okay, now somebody here playing with me said, good night to you both. Courtney, you look bright. Did you win the grand prize or what? No, I didn't win the grand prize. I wish I did.
I'm sure you would have shared it. Yes, we must not fool ourselves. We have one of the best systems of government in the world. It's called the Westminster system. and we must not be led away by ignorance. The independent candidate can, even if just one, make a big difference.
Anybody can contribute to the country. Yeah.
Of course.
I have another text. Congrats, NDP. I want to see one of the doctors in the Ministry of Health, but Ronnie will do a good job. Again.
But we already have the Minister of Health in the person of Mr. Skelton.
Yeah.
So,
good night. I would like the minister to look in the cable system. Talking about the cable TV system, I agree with that. Someone needs to look into that cable TV system and see if we can get some better channels and see some more live TV and get these messages off of the TV telling us that that no, you didn't pay a bill. I mean, what is with that still?
You mean they do that to individuals?
In Spanish, no, it comes on. It's this thing. You can't see the TV and the message
it comes on your individual TVs?
Yes, Mr. Maduro. I was wondering, did you call and congratulate your niece? That's to you, Mr. Maduro.
No, I have openly, this is the first time I'm on the show, but I have openly met people who discuss it, and I think, I said to myself, not I think, well, at least Maduro won.
Okay.
And I'm very glad that my niece won, because we will have some changes.
Well, you better congratulate her now then.
Of course.
There you go.
As a young person,
a woman.
All my congratulations go to her.
Yes. And we have two women in the legislature.
Which is good.
Which is good.
Which is good.
Yes.
And you know what I'm looking forward to, even from this show, is to be working with the government of the day. Of course, if the government of the day give us cause to bring certain things to the people, we will have to. But my hope
we are a media. We are part of the media.
Apart from being a media, I have a civil responsibility to encourage good governance. And it is my intention from now on to support the government.
And have openness and fairness. Of course.
It's as simple as that. So which means I will be supporting my niece.
Yeah. We have another text. Edmund said both parties bought votes with money or promises. That is true. Because if you promise to do something and it has money implication, that is a monetary. Okay, we have a call. Yeah. Good evening. You've reached Speak Your Mind. Please turn your TV. Please turn your television set down, please.
Good night.
This is for Mr. Maduro.
Yes.
I understand you don't pay your employees at the gas station.
Beg pardon? Hello? You gone?
He got disconnected, yeah.
Okay, please call again, because for some reason you were accidentally disconnected. Please call again.
Mr. Edmund, why you closed down?
Just cut that nonsense off.
It's then. Courtney, that comment you made is ridiculous. Posters and billboards is not buying out. That is what you call advertising your campaign. They do it in every country. That might be your opinion, but I was making the point that big posters and expensive campaigns are something that drive up costs. And we don't have any laws here governing how much you could spend on an election.
Well, Courtney raised an excellent point there. I believe, and I heard somebody else say it on one of the radio stations, that I think it was the ex-deputy premier or somebody of that sort, talking that we have to be concerned about monies that are being spent in the campaign. And I agree with that, because I think we have to be, one thing I'll adopt from America, where does all of this money come from that is being used in the campaign? And if we don't do that, we will find that people will be using all kinds of monies. And it's very important. It was a very good suggestion, and I think it's something that is worthwhile to be worked upon.
We have another one. I think what the caller was trying to say was it's harder to get elected as an independent candidate. Not that they were saying an independent does not produce. Well,
that's not what the caller said at all. I mean, the caller was simply saying that independent candidates cannot make a difference. They cannot contribute anything. That was exactly what the caller said.
The person swing back and they said, if you can't afford big posters and billboards, do not enter. But I think the person is missing the point.
Missing the point.
They're completely missing the point. There are no election laws here that regulate how much money you can have in a campaign. So
well, what the laws would do?
The ads are only a part of it.
Right.
You have to buy airtime.
Right.
You have to do a number of things. Okay.
What the law, such a law would do is to ascertain where you're getting your money from.
Yeah.
You'll have to publish or let it be known somehow where you get your campaign money from.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what is done in other countries.
The person is continuing to ask me if where Obama gets his money from and all that. Come on, they don't realize that Obama has to account for every
penny
that he spent, and he has to put down the name of anybody who gives him over $2,000.
Okay.
If you ever give the Democratic Party more than $2,000, you have to make a declaration.
Any candidate.
Well, but
basically in the states we
Party.
have two major parties.
Parties are trying to force out independent candidates by raising the cost of campaigning.
Is that happening
Independent candidates cannot compete with the excessive media campaigns. That is true.
That is very, very true.
That is true.
That's a very candid, honest, upward and straightforward statement. I support that very much.
Mr. Maduro, what is your overall analysis of the new government?
I personally think that the new government can do a great job. I would like to see them put back in operation the situation at Prospect Reef. I'd like to see them do a couple other things, but we have a caller, and hopefully we'll get those in later.
Hold the thought. Yes. Good evening. You're free speaking, man. Go right ahead, please.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, caller.
It was an interesting week.
It was indeed.
The people have spoken.
That's right.
And I think everybody on your show should realize it's a done deal, so get over the pettiness,
yes,
get on, and realize one thing. The next 4 years in the British Virgin Islands are going to be the hardest 4 years we have ever seen, and we will hope and pray that this new government will be able to handle the international economy, the world economy, our own personal island economy, and let them do the best they can and try not to stop them and just see what we can do.
Well, I so much support you, because what we have to do, as you say, and I was listening to one of the big international stations, that the next 4 years can be more difficult than we expect. So rather than trying to make confusion and to create obstacles, we need to be working with the government of the day and trying to get these things better, trying to improve an economy. There are a number of things we can look at. We can look at our farming, we can look at our fishing, because the more we can produce locally, the better off we will be. So these are things we have to work together with the government of the day. This is no time to be out there criticizing simply because we have a mouth. I totally agree with the last caller.
Let's see if we have a couple more texts while we're waiting on calls. We need cruise ships coming 2 and 3 a day. We need to reduce the airport taxes so prices on tickets can be reduced, so we can attract more Caribbean tourists. Also, ease the visa restrictions.
Well, the visa restrictions is not something in a sense that we can play with. I think in terms of security,
that's a security issue.
It's a security issue.
Yeah.
So we cannot play too much with our own future, because as we see, there are a number of things that could happen with the difficult economy that is among us now. It's a part of society. So there are certain things we got to think very carefully of before we make any changes in them.
Right. But I think from what I've been hearing, there's a very vibrant cruise ship
Yeah, we got a call.
lineup for this month already.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
We're grateful to you.
Good evening, you're free speaking man. Please turn your please.
Please.
Definitely.
Okay. So, you see, Courtney, again, our beaches could be developed to accommodate more tourists from the cruise ship.
Yes.
We can develop the beach in Long Bay, Beef Island.
Yes.
We can develop even better the beach in Josias Bay.
Yeah.
We can develop the beaches on the North Shore. And we can build little concessions that would give our people business
Yes.
and bring some economy to them. There's so much we can do. And as I was saying earlier, I definitely would like to see the Prospect Reef project reinvigorated
Okay.
and put to what it was supposed to be by the people who first bought it.
And
Prospect Reef is very important to training our people. It could be a 5-star hotel, it could be anything, but we'll have the ability to train chefs, to train anybody in the hotel industry, and also to train people in the boating industry, to train captains, and to train a lot of other people in other various fields.
Okay. I heard that a lot of paper shredding went on from the previous government. I wouldn't be able to answer. I haven't got a clue.
You got a call.
Yeah. Good evening. You're free speaking mind. Go right ahead, please. Okay, John.
John Doe?
John Doe. I like listening to your show, also, right?
Yes.
But if you think, right, the money what is spending, right, if you keep us in the country, right, and something like foreigners go with money, do you think we are better bargain?
That's a good idea at the policy level, but how are you going to actually do it? That's another story.
I mean, the bar in the country up, and the country up, and you got new people in the business, right? It's supposed to like help the people who live there. I mean, they live there over 25 years, right?
Yeah.
No matter where you come from, right? Everybody got to eat, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody got to eat, but if you're gaining money to Australia, you know, he ain't talking about the country. He ain't about the country, but he's taking our money and when we look, he mess up the country and then the country will work.
Like I was saying, that's a very good policy. I mean, on all levels. If the more money we could keep in the territory, the more it circulates, the more it end up in the supermarket, in the rent-a-car company.
The more we develop
The more we develop, the more money we have available
for development,
for investment and investment. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
How?
I ain't got much money on the phone, right? There's enough to somebody call out this. That's the sum of my rate.
All right.
Well, okay, well, thank you for your call.
Thank you
anyway.
very much for supporting us.
Right. Good.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
the economy.
that is a true concept, right? That if you could keep money in circulation.
Well, one of the things we need to do, Courtney, is to try to stop selling our lands and try to develop them. Another thing we have to try hard to do is to have co-investment. That is to have people coming from abroad and investing with us, rather than people just coming from abroad, buying our lands and alienating us.
Well,
And it's something that can be done with good negotiation, with good intention, and with good planning.
But Edmund, you make me remember to speak about speculation, because we've had a number of speculators here. As a matter of fact, we had some professional speculators over the years, and when I was saying that to a colleague of mine, he reminded me that Rockefeller was not of that nature.
He was not a speculator at all.
He was not a speculator, and if we had more people like that, maybe we would have had a different Virgin Islands.
I forget the word that describes a gentleman like Mr. Rockefeller, but he's a man who goes out and gives of his value. Philanthropist? A philanthropist, that's what he was.
Yeah.
And he was the first major hotel Blair to come to the British Virgin Islands.
And the U.S. Virgin Islands.
And the U.S. Virgin Islands. And he just did not invest on his behalf. In the U.S. VA, for instance, he bought hundreds of acres of land and donated to the people.
Here as well.
He did it here as well. And he was truly a man who came and who was a part of the society.
We have a couple of texts still now, and I don't know, it gets about 9 of them. Time to get ready is their time to get real is their money. Well, that is a question I wouldn't be able to answer.
But that's what we've been saying all night. We are in a serious financial situation.
Yeah.
We got a call.
Yeah, we got a call, yeah. Good evening, you're speaking mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, I was just wondering, what about the
you need to turn down your television set, please.
What about the so-called observers that was in the country? What happened to them?
That was a good question. When they were coming, there were some objections to it. And you'd recall that we said on this show that no one should have objected to it. At the time, we even said here that it was not out of place for His Excellency given the short notice he did. But whatever it is, we prove a great point by allowing the observers to come here. Because what is their position? They have said that we have one of the best election system
in the world.
In the world. And as a matter of fact, they found one little difference, and that was we should give the ballot for the district and the at-large candidates at the same time, and that would help to speed up.
That's what they did with in my instance.
Yes, they didn't do it all over.
Oh, okay.
So that's one of the observations that they made.
Okay.
And they made some very positive observation on our behalf. So there was nothing wrong in bringing them. Period. We must, in fact, give His Excellency the Governor, if it is his decision, it was his idea, the credit for doing so.
There was one small hiccup though. They didn't have enough ballots in the Long Look area.
Well, that was a sad thing. Yes.
And that was a sad thing. But eventually the ballots came. And the people were able to vote.
And everybody was able to vote.
But in a small territory of 12,000 voters, we would imagine, and in some districts more than 500 people didn't go out to vote.
Right.
So you would imagine you would have enough ballots.
Right.
But be that as it may, it's already gone.
It's already gone.
And we would have to prepare better next time.
Right. I must really say that in my opinion,
it went well.
The electoral office,
in my opinion, it went very well.
They made a serious and good try.
I think so.
Yes.
I think they had name tags on, so you could identify any of the people that were working. They had coordinated shirts.
Right.
They all had the same color shirts.
Exactly.
So they made a serious
effort
to identify themselves and to show the public that they were prepared
to conduct a good election.
To conduct a good election.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. We have a couple of more texts. Edmund, in most Commonwealth countries, a leader whose party is thrown out of office normally faces a leadership challenge. Do you find it surprising that Mr. O'Neill is still clinging to the leadership of the VIP when the party is in urgent need of revitalization, reform, and reinvigoration? Oh, yeah.
Well, what happens here, Texter, is simply this. Their performance from now on, the performance of the VIP, would be sending a message to the people of the British Virgin Islands. So I would think that the 4 candidates who were successful from the VIP party should begin to think about how serious their present role in the government for the next 4 years would be. And it's going to be good for them to present the best of what they got if they want to be elected again, or even take the government over in the next election.
Yeah, so we've been asked
for a break.
Yeah, to take a break at this time, and we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Hi, I am Tahisha Harrigan Scott, and I am here to bring you some exciting news from Digicel. Now you can talk more and text more for only $15. A great new price plan from Digicel, the bigger, better network. Have you heard? When you top up $15 or more, you get incredible deals with Digicel. Get 100 free minutes, unlimited SMS, and free weekends for 7 days to local Digicel numbers. Top up $15 again, and it will automatically be extended for another 7 days. For more information, drop by our store or visit our website at www.digicelbvi.com. Digicel terms and conditions apply.
Okay, we have some text here. Let's see if I can go back to this one there. Is it legal to give out contracts days before elections after the government is dissolved?
I want to say no, and I think that laws should be put in place that after the government is dissolved, the caretakers should not be able to give contracts, because a number of these contracts should really be going through the House, because you are spending a budget that you probably even haven't put in place yet. And I think that sort of behavior should be investigated. As a matter of fact, contracts were given out on the very day of election.
But really?
And if wearing a pin or putting a poster on a vehicle is undue influence, isn't giving out the contract where people are going to make money even more.
Even more influence.
Influential?
Of course.
So we must stop being silly. I agree the caller's question is a good text. It is wrong. I believe it is wrong. And I believe it should be punishable.
Mr. Maduro, what do you think about BVI citizens with United States status coming here to vote, then going back to St. Thomas or other states to live after they cast their vote and living there for the next 4 years?
As far as I'm concerned, a citizen is a citizen.
Wherever they live.
Wherever they live. To deny them of their rights to vote should be unconstitutional. You find that American citizen in Australia or any other part of the world can go to their embassy and vote. I believe that that is also true with UK citizens. So I don't see why we should be cutting off the necks of all people who do the same thing. Because some of these people who might be living abroad right here in the BVI could own hundreds of acres of land. Am I not right?
That's right.
So what are we talking about?
So they have economic interests as well.
Economic interests and equal rights and justice should prevail. And as a matter of fact, it is not unlawful for a person to have dual citizenship under the British Nationality Act or even under the British Virgin Islands Constitution. So we must be fair. We must let justice be equally distributed.
They have someone says, text, why is election banners and posters still up in the 7th and 8th district? That not an offense?
It is.
But I think all fairness to that situation though, I think those banners were down, and after the persons won is when those things went back up. I think that's what happened.
That's what happened?
I think so.
I'm not aware of that. So I'm not here.
Good night. Does the NDP have the power to take back exemption if you're here for 12 years? You might know better than me, but
take back exemption. I think the exemptions are issued on an annual basis.
On an annual basis,
and from that standpoint of view, the NDP can, withhold renewing them. It's a grant. It's not a right. It's a gift, not a right.
If you haven't lived in the BVI for a number of years, you should not be able to vote unless you pay tax and Social Security here. That's your opinion.
That's your opinion, and you're entitled to it.
I don't think that fits well with the Constitution.
No.
And the Constitution is the highest law of the
What a
land.
lot of people don't understand, that right in England itself, people
Yeah.
were born in England, have 23 different English citizenship.
Yes. Some
So
of them
this
from,
thing
some of them
about
from
citizenship,
France.
for time
Some
to
of them-
time, I've been
yeah.
trying to educate our people. But there are some people, once they take an opinion, they will not take advice.
Good night to you. I think the posters were too big. I have never seen such huge posters, and the USVI or Constitution should be changed to prevent sitting government from signing at last minute. Congrats.
I agree with
think
you.
Any contract signing after the House dissolved should be invalid.
It should be invalid, it should be unlawful,
It should be unlawful.
and it should be punishable
Yeah.
by law.
Now NDP 1 VIP supporters think exemption will be taken back from islanders.
As I said earlier, it's a grant, it's not a right. And any government may change their policies to do things of that nature.
Courtney, why you denying that we had our own Enron in the Ministry of Communication and Works and Ministry of Health? Lots of screening.
What about the saying there?
They're saying that we had our own Enron.
What's going on?
A company that went bankrupt in the United States. Mr. Maduro, you are making so much sense about Prospect Reef. I think once we get our medical school, Prospect Reef can be used as boarding, renting to the students. It could be used for a number of reasons.
Well, it can be used for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
Prospect Reef can be developed into a 5-star hotel, and it would teach and train our people to be top service
We
people
have
in
another,
the tourism
we have another
industry.
text. Thank you,
Yeah,
Mr. Maduro, for mentioning Prospect Reef.
Yes.
We need help quick. God bless the General Manager, Mr. Alan O'Neill. Right, we have a
We
call.
got a call, yes.
Yeah. Good evening. You have reached Speak Your Mind. Go right ahead, please. Oh, definitely. This is a live show. You don't have to hang up on us. This is a live show.
Please call again.
Please call again.
Yes. You see, Prospect Reef can do so much
Yeah.
for all people. Not only that, we shouldn't be afraid to let people come from our neighboring islands and get training right there. Because they could go to the college for the theoretical and to Prospect Reef for the practical. And we can become so famous as a matter of a point of education.
Yes.
You see?
Please stick with the local people and do your best to uplift the BVI. Do not uplift the BVI. Do not behave as you did previously. The locals put you all in, and if you play big and proud as you did the last time, out you would go forever.
Well,
That message was for the
NDP.
the government.
And it's a strong message. It's a message that has merits. It's a person who is in fact speaking their mind. It's a person who's in fact telling the present government, the new government, that we are looking forward to fair justice, equal rights and justice within our government.
Prayer work wonders. Virgin Gorda don't learn now. Before long they will have an election in the 9th district.
Why?
I don't know, that's a prediction. We know how predictions work. If you live away from the UK for 15 years, you cannot vote if you don't pay tax.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
If that is so,
That's possible.
it is so.
Do you think the new government going to make enhances with the Spanish community?
I have no idea.
Yeah. We are talking about the boatloads that come from St. Thomas. They don't know what is going on in our country, and they are not living life here in the BVI. So
I don't
where they
believe
come,
that.
they help mock up the thing
I
by
don't believe
voting
that.
in some at the cost of a boat ticket.
Stop
And what-
embarrassing
and
our
what
people.
else?
Our
What is
people are
given to them to
intelligent
come?
people, And they
a lot
have
of
a
people,
right.
a lot of people in St. Thomas own property.
A lot of property here in the
And not
BVI.
only that, but they listen to the radio station here
course.
every day.
Of course.
They are very much in tune. They come to people's funerals and stuff like that, and they have an opinion about what is happening in the BVI as it relates to their
So
investment.
Let's draw a parallel. People from here, from the other Caribbean islands,
Yeah.
when they go home, they can vote.
Of course,
So
but they also pay attention to what's happening in their home
Of
country.
course. So why should we deny our people?
From paying attention
The
to what's
same
happening
rights.
in their home country.
Of course.
Maduro, how do you feel that you've lost and not getting any votes?
I said the people have spoken.
Yeah.
You heard me say that from the beginning.
How long do you have to live in order to get exemption? That is at the discretion.
That is a discretionary,
discretionary measure.
Again, that the government has taken into consideration. It's a grant, not a right.
All the exemption they are giving now is indefinite. Wow, that may be true. I don't know. Courtney, you missed the key fact about Enron. The shredded paper, like it was going out of style. That's what happened in the Ministry of Communication and Works and the Ministry of Health. Well, I'm sorry I misinterpreted that, but that if that is so, that probably in the future, Edmund, the people in charge of the civil service will take measures in place to ensure that
No,
something
I
like
would
that
say
will
it's
happen.
also, that is also if it happens.
If it happens,
I can't say it happens.
We don't know for sure.
And I don't really want to entertain it.
Okay.
But I'm saying that if it happens, it's a criminal offense. And somebody should be charged for that.
Yeah.
You cannot be destroying evidence.
Yeah, but
of that
in
nature.
addition to that, a number of persons may not know about the Jetty Edwards system, but the Jetty Edwards system is a computerized system that the government have in place now for maybe more than almost 20 years.
Right.
And the record is perpetual. You can't erase the record.
You can't erase the record.
No, so you can always investigate if you really want to investigate.
Exactly. Then that is some good knowledge there.
I would like to congratulate Edmund for his courage and bravery and for always putting the people of the country first. We love you, Edmund, and you as well, Courtney.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that.
Texter.
Yeah. Mr. Maduro, will you and Samuel form a party next election? I mean O'Neill in Virgin Gorda. And will you get back your money?
I don't have to answer that one.
No.
That's a malicious text.
Yeah. Good night, gentlemen. Give the victory of the NDP party. What will become of the Bywater situation?
That is left to be seen.
Well, I've seen on the internet where one of the internet news reporters claimed that the Minister of Communication and Work is reviewing all the major contracts, which I think is a good thing.
Right.
Because if you had to come into a job in the middle of a job, you would need to know what's going on,
Right.
and you would need to know what to do.
Exactly.
So I think it's an excellent idea to review. Like I said to one of my colleagues today too, we've been missing the review process. Now is a better time than ever to review what we're doing. And when you review, you can always make a new position because you have the enough information at that point to make an informed decision.
Courtney, as I said earlier and more than once on this show this evening,
Yeah.
I have strong faith and a strong belief that the presently elected